It's a very warm welcome to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate, our show that's bringing you all the latest news and events, and of course a very interesting debate in store for all our viewers tonight. Today in our episode we'll be discussing a very important issue of artificial intelligence. Of course, the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence, which was launched in 2019, is aimed at putting a comprehensive framework as well as orienting the usages of artificial intelligence to serve national targets as well as bolster sustainable development. So this will be tonight's main topic on tonight's edition of the Daily Debate, and will be later joined in the studio by a very distinguished guest who is a professor as well of artificial intelligence, Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, who will be joining us later on our show to tell us much more about artificial intelligence as well as its usage here inside Egypt. But first, we bring you a quick look at some of the news making the headlines, beginning with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who received a phone call from his Czech counterpart Petr Pavel on Tuesday. During their telephone conversation, the two leaders discussed means to enhance bilateral ties in various domains and opportunities for a quantum leap in trade and economic relations. They also reviewed a number of regional and international issues of mutual concern, especially developments in Ukraine and Gaza. Meanwhile, President Sisi and President Petr witnessed an agreement on uniting efforts to reach an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, allowing humanitarian aid into the territory, taking concrete steps to evade an expansion of the strife and reach a fair and just solution to the Palestinian cause. And in more news, the Prime Minister, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, held a meeting on Tuesday to follow up on the executive position of the national project of the self-sufficiency of the plasma derivatives on Tuesday. During the meeting, Madbouli highlighted the importance of this project, adding that it is being followed up by the President himself. For his part, the Minister of Health and Population, Dr. Khaled Abdel Ghaffar, also reviewed the undergoing work in this sector. The Minister said the project was aimed to achieve self-sufficiency from plasma derivatives and drugs, as well as provide foreign currency. And for more news, the Foreign Minister, Badr Abdelati, asserted on Tuesday that Egypt has attached great importance to strengthen its relations with countries of the Horn of Africa. Minister's remarks came during his meeting with the European Union envoy to the Horn of Africa, Annette Weber. During the meeting, they discussed a number of security and political issues facing the Horn of Africa region, as well as the situation in Somalia and Sudan, in addition to Egypt's exerted efforts to achieve stability. The meeting also focused on the Red Sea security, ensuring freedom of international navigation, and the effects of escalating security threats on the global economy as well as Egypt. Welcome back, and now time to begin tonight's topic and our daily debate for tonight, which is centered around artificial intelligence, and the governance comes as the first axis of the second stage of the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence in Egypt, which aims at achieving a balance between technology, innovation and building the new republic. We now bring you more details in this report, and we'll be right back. Do stay tuned for more.
Over the past few years, Egypt has demonstrated a steadfast commitment to artificial intelligence and is progressively emerging as a prominent player in the global artificial intelligence landscape. Egypt's move towards advancing in AI governance and strategy is part of a global trend where nations are increasingly recognizing the importance of AI in their economies, securities, frameworks and social systems. The efforts to balance privacy rights with innovation mirror broader international discussions and regulatory attempts, such as the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation. Establishing an effective AI governance involves a comprehensive approach that addresses ethical, legal and operational considerations. By using a structured approach, organizations can establish a robust AI governance framework that the responsible and ethical use of artificial intelligence while promoting innovation and positive societal impact. Recent AI technological advances, particularly the rise of generative AI, have raised many data governance and privacy questions. However, artificial intelligence and privacy policy communities often address these issues independently with approaches that vary between jurisdictions and legal systems. These silos can generate misunderstandings, add complexities in regulatory compliance and enforcement, and prevent capitalizing on commonalities between national frameworks. In terms of global AI leadership, Egypt's traction in artificial intelligence can be positioned within Africa's emerging tech landscape. Egypt has been ranked 65th globally and 7th among Arab nations in the Government Artificial Intelligence AI Readiness Index for 2022, as reported by the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics (CAPMAS). The country is second in Africa. Significant advancements in AI were noted, with Egypt improving 7 positions in the Artificial Intelligence Index in 2023 and advancing 17 positions in the Skill-Related AI Index by mid-2023. Approximately 246 specialized AI companies operate in Egypt in 2023. The Ministry of Communications and Information Technology has underlined the vital role of regulating the flow and governance of data in striking a balance between safeguarding data privacy and allowing creativity to flourish through an AI technology framework. This framework is to be developed collaboratively across relevant entities. This comes amid challenges presented by artificial intelligence, including the neutrality of data, data quality to ensure reliability, AI ethics, secure data use, and the protection of intellectual property rights.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you and today's edition of the Daily Debate. And as I said earlier, we're delighted to be joined this evening in the studio by our guest, Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, Professor of Artificial Intelligence, to tell us a lot more about this very, very important topic and very important sector which is emerging in Egypt. Dr. Nevine, it's a very good evening, and thank you so much, ma'am, for coming in this evening.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Doctor, for your time. And let me start quickly by wrapping up, Egypt's approach now to artificial intelligence. We have seen, the government demonstrating a steadfast commitment to artificial intelligence and progressively, starting to emerge as a prominent player when it comes to, the global artificial intelligence landscape. How do you see this, Doctor?
Okay, let's first talk about the national strategy of AI, because we're currently working on the second stage.
Okay.
As you know, we started with the National Council, and the National Council was established in 2019, and it had as a mandate to design the implementation through having kind of a strategy, a long-term strategy. So actually we're now in the assessment of the first stage, because after 5 years you need to assess and see the challenges and just try to find some potential solutions.
Right.
So we're actually focusing on the second stage, and on the second stage I think that we'll be focusing more on capacity building and the regulations, or in a broader term, let's say the governance, because with governance, as you know, we're talking about a framework that includes regulations, ethical aspects, standards, and so on. And that's what we really need, not only here in Egypt, but it's kind of an issue that is being
addressed.
Yes, addressed worldwide.
Absolutely. Could you tell us a bit about, the ambitions? As you said, this is the second stage of the government's intelligence governance, and it's a very important issue with regards to achieving, as you said, a balance between technology and innovation, all within, governance or under legislation and laws, rules to be followed with the use of AI. So tell us a bit about the importance of this, Doctor.
It's very important because we're not only talking here about ethics, because again we have a charter for responsible AI and the National Council is being working on kind of adding some, let's say, remarks and comments and updating it, because with the ethical framework is very important, especially that we are currently implementing artificial intelligence in healthcare and in education. So we need to be sure that it is not biased, and it can easily be biased either using biased data or biased algorithm. And we're always talking about the social protection. So if we're talking about social protection and algorithms used for it, then it should be ethical. We cannot really allow or enable any inequalities in this field. So we worked a lot on having kind of an ethical framework, but then we discovered that it was not enough, because you should impose these ethics using a framework, but a legal one, not only an ethical one. You cannot only rely on people being ethical. What if they're not ethical? What if you have...
There must be consequences too.
Exactly. What if you have an AI company that is designing or deploying a system in a very unethical way? What if the
Could you give me an example, Doctor, of something unethical? For example, say in the education sector, how would AI usage be on a biased, for example, algorithm, and be unethical, say, in the education sector?
Okay, we as educators, we're making use of AI for the assessments of assignments, for example.
Yes.
So what if this assessment is being unethical and is leading to results that are not really fair to students and to learners? This will be a huge problem, because you will have learners having some inequalities again, and that was not the purpose of having AI. We're having AI to support us in achieving sustainable development. So to be able to achieve the sustainable development, whether we're talking about healthcare, whether we're talking about dealing with climate change problems, with the educational problems, with the discrimination against some people, let's say, not only against women, because whenever we say discrimination, it's taken that's only...
It's gender, yes.
Yeah, but it's not a gender issue only. So we need to focus on having systems that are for the welfare of the community, not posing risks for community.
So, Doctor, when you say, you know, legislation is being put or governance is being put to monitor use of AI towards sustainable development goals, who is in charge of these legislations and regulations and laws? How do they come about?
Okay, it should be the charge of the National Council, since the National Council is working already on the second stage of the strategy, and in this strategy they're tackling the different challenges faced. And that was one of the main challenges, because Egypt worked a lot on enhancing and improving the infrastructure and on capacity building programs, on education, on several governmental initiatives, so as to enable youth to make use of AI and to enable them for the workplace. Because now we're not only talking about local, we're talking about international vacancies. So they should be able to join international companies. So again, we're talking about ethics, because having many incidents that happened in the last 2 years, the world is focusing on having ethical and responsible. That's what we mean by the word responsible. A responsible AI that is not, again, posing any risks for human beings.
Absolutely. Now, as technologies are constantly progressing and, you know, revolutionizing everything really in our everyday lives, specifically, let me move to the business sector, how we do business. Technology has really changed, you know, the face of business, how businesses operate. They've offered new opportunities for innovation, for efficiency. How far has this integration between, you know, a multitude of all the possible AIs and all the business sector, as well as the legal challenges, considerations that need careful navigation, like you said?
Okay, let's take it from a stakeholder approach.
Okay.
So when we say business, then we're talking about employees. We're talking here about internal customers, and that's a very important point. We're talking about customers, we're talking about competitors, we're talking about suppliers. So if we take it from this perspective, then you will see that AI is contributing a lot. So if you think about the employees, then AI is helping companies recruit the right people.
Yes.
Here we're talking about the suitable jobs for people, and it's helping promoting and engaging the employees. On the other hand, a very important point is the CRM, the customer relationship management.
Okay.
And here we're making very good use of AI because we should get to know our customer. If we are talking about satisfying customers, then we definitely need to know the customer. What are the customer needs? What are their expectations? What about their complaints? How can we reach not only customer satisfaction, but customer delight as well?
Right.
And competition is a very important issue again. So here we're making use of AI in terms of the analytics, whether we're talking data analytics or having some expertise to deal with our competitors.
Absolutely. Right. Dr. Nevine, we have to go to a short break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after the short break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're still with you on tonight's edition of the Daily Debate. Once again, we welcome to the studio Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, our Professor of Artificial Intelligence. Once again, Dr. Nevine, thank you so much for coming in this evening and for your time. And just before the break, we were talking about, you know, business and contribution of AI to businesses, and you were speaking about how it can be used, you know, in different parts or areas of the business, whether for employees or the customers. So you were saying AI can be used to contribute to the satisfaction of the employees, which will eventually carry over to the satisfaction of the customers. Tell us a bit about the usage of AI in this regard.
Okay, we have the usage of AI for what we call the talent management. And by talent management, we're talking again about hiring the right people. And whenever you have the right people in the workplace, then you can definitely achieve satisfaction for the external customers. Because when the employees are happy and when they're satisfied and passionate about their jobs, they can deliver in a better way. Again, talking about the external customers, we were just before the break talking about know your customer.
Clientele.
So how can we know our customer? We do this through different, let's say, channels. And we have the social media on top of it. So when we have more info and more data about our customers, we can do kind of a profiling for the customer. And then we can do some classifications. And with these classifications, we are able to reach out for our customers so as to broaden our market. Again, we're not talking only about local market, but global market as well. And doing so, we can satisfy them and we can achieve the delight. That's always one of the targets whenever we're making use of AI.
Another very important thing, Doctor, is how AI can be used to plan for the future, to plan, you know, what industries or what services are needed more of. How is AI used in this regard with regards to data analytics and planning for the future? Being aware of what you need to develop for the future. Okay, here we implement a framework. That's the data analytics framework. And by analytics, we're talking about deep analysis, not the simple one that we're used to do. So here we kind of describe this current situation. Like, for example, there is a financial crisis worldwide. So we describe it, and then we do some diagnostics. It's called the diagnostic analytics, and with diagnostic you're kind of trying to reach out for the real reasons behind this crisis. Diagnosing the problem, yes.
Exactly. So diagnosing the problem in order to be able to predict, and that's the power of AI, the predictive analytics. So since you're talking about planning, then we're talking definitely about prediction. And with prediction, you have some insights, and with these insights we have some prescription. Here we're making use of many
medical terms.
Yes, and with the prescription, we can act in a proactive manner, and that's planning. So planning, it's about being proactive, not reactive, and being ready for all of the possible scenarios. Exactly.
Now, according to the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence, the state is aiming to raise the contribution of AI to more than $42.7 billion for the GDP by 2030, which is about equivalent to 7.7% of GDP. How do you see the government planning to do this, developing, you know, digital intelligence?
Oh, okay. Actually, it's working on the prerequisites. Okay. So we have what we call the readiness. How can we be ready to implement AI? Because before implementing and before deploying, before designing AI systems, the country should be ready. Whether we're talking about IT infrastructure or we're talking about data, we're talking about digital transformation, because that's a prior stage to implement AI, the capacity building, the talented people who will be able to work in this environment. So we're talking here about many requirements that the country is currently working on achieving before being able to design. And again, we're not talking about AI used in Egypt, but we are dreaming about having AI made in Egypt.
Wow, that's very, very ambitious indeed. Tell me, Doctor, we lean, of course, on other countries. I mean, as you said, it's part of a global system. And you mentioned China and the United States being, you know, the main forces of artificial intelligence. What collaboration and cooperation do we have with other countries in this field?
We have a cooperation in regards to education.
Okay.
Because we have many multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary programs that are tackling AI in different sectors, whether we're talking AI in medicine, AI in engineering, AI in media, AI in education.
Yes, we're not very happy about AI in media, but okay.
Why? It can
we'll talk about it can, but I mean, in the media sector specifically, there's this whole debate about, you know, is AI replacing media personnel or professionals? We'll go into that as well, critical thinking, but later on. Let me just carry on with your answer.
Okay.
Yes.
So here we're talking about cooperation on the education level. And cooperation whenever we're talking about the knowledge transfer, because we need to kind of exchange knowledge with other countries, whether through education or through training. And again, we need to focus on having AI systems made in Egypt, and that is very possible to do. But we should focus on achieving a conducive environment. Absolutely.
Right. So now as the nation, of course, pushes forward on its journey towards AI, it is poised to contribute significantly to the global AI landscape, as the doctor said, whilst driving progress and innovation on the home front. We have a quick report on this development, and we'll be back. Do stay tuned.
Artificial intelligence is considered an icon that has brought about a real leap and a scientific breakthrough in many developed countries. Perhaps this is what prompted Egypt to adopt it in the context of moving towards a better future by developing and exploiting technology to provide the best service for the advancement of the state and society together. Egypt is in discussions on the second phase of the strategy, which aims to improve the National Artificial Intelligence Index by implementing several initiatives across 6 sectors: governance, environment, information, infrastructure, data, human resources, and technology. The second phase of the strategy adopts a number of priority initiatives, which are enhancing the scope of investment, raising the level of public awareness of artificial intelligence, attracting investments for data centers, enabling the management of the stages of the local data life cycle, developing capabilities in the field of artificial intelligence, and building a technological platform based on the development of big data technology. The first phase of the strategy ended in May 2024, and it aimed to use artificial intelligence technologies to support achievement of Egypt's sustainable development goals. The duration of the second phase of the strategy is 3 years. The national strategy for artificial intelligence in Egypt is based on 3 main axes, with education and training, then making practical use of the volume of dense data in Egypt and making that data available to the private sector, each in its location, to benefit from it according to its importance for each separate sector. The strategy includes plans to make Egypt a world leader in the field of artificial intelligence, in addition to developing an integrated system that employs artificial intelligence in the vital areas of the country. The Ministry of Communications and Information Technology is cooperating within the framework of the National Strategy for Artificial Intelligence with major international specialized companies in order to implement projects in applied research using artificial intelligence technologies in various sectors of the country, while transferring knowledge to Egypt youth. The state's interest presented by the government in digital transformation comes in many decisions and executive images, the latest of which is the implementation of the decision to deal in all government agencies through electronic payments. so that the state will complete its path towards advancement of services provided to citizens by working on the national strategy for artificial intelligence to employ it in the vital areas of the country. The strategy works to accelerate the implementation of development programs and projects to reach the future, relying on artificial intelligence in services and data analysis at a rate that may reach 100% in addition to improving government performance and accelerating achievement.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, still with you and tonight's edition of the Daily Debate, and back with Dr. Nevine Makram Labib, our Professor of Artificial Intelligence, who is telling us and educating us really on the field of artificial intelligence. Once again, Doctor, it's lovely to have you with us. I wanted to speak to you a bit about the role of artificial intelligence as a catalyst for solving problems. So, for example, the issue of, global warming, for example, or let's talk about environmental problems or transitioning to green technologies, etc., just as an example. How is AI used in this regard? How can it be used?
Okay, that's a very smart question, by the way, because we have what we call the data-driven decision-making. In order to be able to solve a problem, you should be able to enumerate the different alternatives. So with AI, you can get to know more about the alternatives, the available ones, and to assess these alternatives, whether using data and data analytics or using expertise. Because you can take AI from different perspectives, either transferring knowledge to a machine or to a system, and that knowledge will enable the machine to act as an expert or as a consultant that is giving you its advice and recommendation. Or
based on scientific data, yes.
Not only scientific data, but here we're talking about expertise, what we call the heuristics. The data, or let's say the knowledge that you are able to have using your experience and facing different situations. So you build on that situation, and then you have your own expertise. So having several experts transferring their knowledge into a system enables the system to act as a consultant and as an advisor. So that's a way of solving problems. Another way is to collect data from different sources and let's say in different formats, and applying the data analytics framework that we talked about before the break. So if you're able to feed the system with the expertise and some insights as well, then you can definitely achieve a better decision. And that's the concept of the data-driven decision-making that the country is currently applying, by the way.
Very good. Doctor, earlier we were talking about, people can look at AI, it's a love-hate relationship. It's a love-hate relationship. Some people are very pro-AI, and I know lots of students, for example, think that this is the best thing that has ever happened in their lives because, work is done like this, etc. And some professionals do use AI, of course, to assist them with their job, whilst others are concerned that AI can replace them, fully. Tell me a bit about this, push and pull kind of relationship.
I think it's a matter of perception, because you can either perceive AI as an assistant or even as a competitor, but this competitor will push you towards being better, towards improving your performance. So that's kind of the positive view. Or as a threat, because that's one of the scenarios.
It can replace you totally.
Definitely. That's why we need to enhance our skills. Because again, we still have some skills that are not transferred to machines, like the critical thinking. With critical thinking, you can understand the context in which you'll be applying the AI system. You can assess the results. You can work on the regulations and, again, governance and ethical issues. So with having these skills, I think we can compete with AI systems. If you take it from the positive perspective, let's take an example of ChatGPT, for example, the generative AI. It can help us preparing a program, a TV program. So it will make things easier for you, and it will make you focus more on, let's say, the structure or the sequence of the questions, and not putting too much time in collecting information. So I see it as an assistant. Yeah.
You said an interesting thing, that AI can be modified, but not in all aspects. For example, empathy. Can you teach AI to be empathetic? You said critical analysis, critical thinking. They don't have that, for example, in AI systems. How about empathy, for example?
No, empathy and charisma, no, I don't think so.
Even though there's lots of, talk about
And
robots
trials,
that can feel, and
some robots.
Do you think that is possible, futuristic?
Anything is possible, because with generative
Spoken like
AI,
a true scientist.
Yeah, no, that's the point. Because, for example, with the generative AI, we never thought that artificial intelligence will be able to generate ideas, to compose music, to work in the media. Yeah, so it already has done a lot in these fields, so we never know what will happen. But I think that there are some feelings that cannot be transferred to machines. Maybe you can kind of fake the feelings and have some, yeah, exactly, have some looks, or have some systems that are working towards enabling the machine to look as if it's sad, or this empathy issue. But I think that still, with the feelings and the common sense and the charisma, it cannot compete humans, till now.
Till now. Though in some sectors, you were saying earlier, AI can actually replace very efficiently. For example, in scientific diagnostics, for example. Can it really work to replace a human being?
It can help a lot. Like, for example, in radiology. It achieved very accurate results, but we still rely on the judgment of the medical doctors. Again, we're here to assess the system first in order to be able to make use of it, and we're here to support the medical doctors. We're not here to substitute medical doctors, but it will help us, for example, deal with their burnouts.
So it's a good assistant for a break.
Exactly.
Right, Dr. Nevine, now the advancement of artificial intelligence in Egypt has really required an interdisciplinary approach. So there's lots of collaboration, strong cooperation between the government, different ministries, different sectors, as well as the private sector. Tell me a bit about the importance of this approach to AI in Egypt.
Actually, it's very important, because you cannot rely only on governmental entities. Although they're doing a great job, like, for example, having many initiatives in order to educate the youth. So you have initiatives that are educating our students, starting, I think, of the age of 9 till 11, and then after 11, and then the undergrads and the postgrad students. But on the other hand, we need to work hand in hand if we are really to implement and to achieve the goals of the national strategy. So you'll find many interdisciplinary projects. You'll find, for example, we have a very good example of cooperation between the Ministry of Telecommunications and Information Technology and Bahia.
Oh, very good.
Okay. And here we're making use of artificial intelligence for the early detection of breast cancer. And I think that's a very crucial issue for us in Egypt. Because if you're able to detect breast cancer in an early stage, then you will contribute to women's health, and you will contribute to the welfare of the community as well. And also you have the economic side of the story, because now we're working on the health economics. How much money are we investing in remedies and treatment?
Yet prevention is much more effective.
Prevention is exactly.
Right. To benefit now from the gains of AI, obviously we need to educate, as you said, the general public, starting at a young age, all towards, reaching this society or community that is AI literate, if we can call them that. How do you see, the gap? I'm sure there's a gap now, specifically. Still, we haven't reached a stage where a very large sector of Egyptians are AI aware, or AI proficient, let's call them. How can we bridge this gap? How do you see the approach to bridge the gap?
Actually, we need to work on awareness campaigns.
Okay.
Because everybody's asking about AI. So whenever they know that I'm a professor of artificial intelligence, especially in India, because in India now they're doing a great job in this field, then they start asking me, what about AI? What about digital transformation? So we need to have some awareness campaigns and some maybe TV programs and radio, so as to educate the people. They need to understand it in a very simple way. So you need to tell them that it will contribute to a better community. Like, for example, sometimes you cannot reach your medical doctor. So using telemedicine, you will be able to use your mobile and then have an application. And with the application, you might be able to meet with your doctor. So we need to give them some examples.
Practical
examples, yes.
And to bridge the gap, to not make it seem like such a very difficult, challenging concept to use
because
AI.
sometimes we make use of technical terms that are too technical with the IT jargon, and nobody understands us. That's a communication problem, if you can say.
And how about the role of social media? You spoke about education, you spoke about mainstream media. Surely social media has a very big role to play.
Definitely. It will be the best way to do it. So if you manage to have kind of a program using any of the platforms that people are already using, and then trying to explain, like, for example, maybe every day give them just 2 or 3 minutes. That's what we call the micro-learning.
Okay.
So we try to use it with the people, with the community, and every day we talk about just one term and make it very simple for them, and giving them kind of an example, a practical example, because they need to know what's in it for them. They're not really
how will AI make their lives easy? Yes.
Because sometimes they tell me, now we're in economic crisis, financial crisis, and you're talking about robots.
Yes.
And what about replacing us? What about the unemployment issue? So you need to reassure them that, especially in Egypt, we have many laws that are protecting employees. So we're not talking about, again, raising the unemployment issue. But on the other hand, we're talking about having more job opportunities, especially for the youth.
Doctor, let me move to a question that just crossed my mind now, the generational gap. So if we educate youngsters, school goers, high school, university goers, AI users, etc., then you have, our parents, for example. Where do they fit in? Can they catch up and effectively have AI usages?
Yes, definitely.
How?
Because if you design a system that is easy to use, then they will be able to use it. And they're already using it, because everybody has a smartphone. So a smartphone and using kind of the social media, the Facebook, the Twitter, they're already using AI. These are interactive apps for them. So you need to explain to them that AI is not something very weird, that you're already using it, because having smartphone already means that you are making use of AI techniques.
Right, so I'm afraid we're running out of time, but I have so many questions. Given the broad potential now that artificial intelligence has, efforts made at the national level to adopt it, let's talk about critical thinking. Just to wrap up, deep analysis remains a basis of understanding how to employ this technology, how to advance development in our society, in our communities. How do you see the importance and the significance of this?
Very important, because it will assure us that AI is for the welfare of the community, the welfare of human beings. We will be able to control how to make use of AI. And here we'll be talking about AI not as a competitor, but as an assistant, or rather as a tool. We will be able to decide how, when and where to make use of artificial intelligence, so as to make it, or to make our lives better. We have kind of a say of like AI for a better community, AI for a better world, AI for a better Egypt. We can tackle many problems and many challenges, like in education, for example, having too many students. But if we make use of the platforms, we'll be able to deliver better and improved educational services and systems for them. Having special needs and the issue of the social inclusion, again, you can make use of AI. So it's for a better Egypt.
Absolutely. On this very, very positive note, I will wrap up here. Dr. Nevine Makram, Labib, Professor of Artificial Intelligence. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in, ma'am, this evening, and for joining us on the Daily Debate. Thank you so much, Doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today's episode of the Daily Debate. We do hope you have enjoyed it. You're in the company of myself and Jumeir. Thank you for watching.